Good day, guys. My name is Buhlali Buzani, and this is Refining Perspectives. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'd like you guys just to subscribe. Yes, subscribe. Good day, guys. My name is Buhlali Buzani, and this is Refining Perspectives. I'd like to thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Guys, I'd like to also urge you to please comment below and also do share this video with your friends and your family so that we can keep the conversation going. But for now, I'd like us to jump into this week's episode.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
So, what we were talking about in the previous episode of Refining Perspectives, we posed the question of where do you draw your value?
Yeah.
And from then on, we spoke about the concept or the idea, the notion of true justice versus social justice.
Yeah.
And what I took for myself from all that we spoke about is how important it is, that it's really important for us to seek first true justice before we seek social justice.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yes, we cannot neglect social justice, but for social justice that we seek and we fight for to become sustainable, we need to first fight and seek true justice. That's one of the things that are on my mind from the first episode that we did on this topic of true justice and where do you draw your value. And today we're not completely shifting from that, but
definitely.
I might as well say that we are going deeper into that subject. And you know, one of the things that I think they really stood out for me is that we are living in a time whereby value, we derive it commonly from external things. And one of the reasons why our society, our moral fiber is the way that it is. You know, things are breaking down, and there is a decay so much in morality because we derive our value from things that are external rather than focusing on what is within us, knowing our purpose, knowing what we are here to do. And I don't know what you took from the previous episode.
Wow, bro. Wow. What you've just said, I don't want to lie, is a mouthful. And I could relate and say I took away a bulk of what you've just mentioned. And more than anything, you know, my perspective has been refined. You know, I like to call this part of the episode reflections. Because more than anything, you know, it gives you some time in your mind to actually think and ponder on now what's the practicality of everything that we've been talking about. Then you realize, Uguti, now each and every day when you wake up in the morning, you know, you need to set some time aside where you conscientize yourself, Uguti, what are the values that I'm going to hold throughout this day, you know, because now instead of being a reactive person right, you start being a proactive person because now you know what you hold dear to you. So any opportunity that comes your way that does not come with these values, you do not identify
with it.
So that's to say, you go in a land that we love as people, saying that I need to go somewhere else in order for me, to succeed. No, that is nonsense. I am debunking it today. That is a fallacy.
But bro, there are no opportunities where I am.
Bro, you are the opportunity. You know, I say this to people, and it seems like I'm being ridiculous.
You don't understand the situation that I'm in. I'm suffering.
Bro,
there's no one to support me here.
Exactly. You know, there's no funding. There's no, you know, but
the government is not doing anything about my problem.
So what now true justice does, it shifts you from a place of dependency to a place of empowerment, to a place when there's a difference between independence and empowerment. When you are independent, it's all about you and you seeking after doing things your way. You find it's all about how you perceive things. But when you are empowered, you seek also to empower other people and impact the lives of other people. So bro, that's what I've taken home, and that's what I am dedicating my life each and every day towards. You know, I'm waking up each and every morning and I'm asking myself fundamental questions. Buhlali, what are the values that you are upholding throughout this day? You know, because there are decisions I need to make, there are opportunities that are there. So I need to identify myself, you know, with my values in order for me to take control of my day and the opportunities that are really
for
worthwhile.
you to remain in control rather than being controlled by circumstances and situations around you. Wow. And I think that's a brilliant way to go into what we'll be talking about today. And I don't know, bro, okay, do you mind breaking it down for us, what exactly we'll be talking about today?
So basically today, bro, what we'll be talking about is really the leadership side. Because once we start speaking of purpose, we start speaking of value, we speaking of worth, we are speaking of how individuals lead society. But before they lead society, they need to understand that they need to lead themselves. You are first a leader of yourself. Leader of your family, leader of your street, leader of your immediate community. Then you can lead the world.
Perhaps maybe this is also a great opportunity to debunk the lie that has been told or that is in our minds, that leadership starts with position.
That's exactly what we are here for, you know, today, and that's what we'll be talking about. You know, that's why today we have leaders who have inferiority complex, where you find leaders comparing themselves with their employees, managers, you know, oppressing employees because they feel that employees think
others
that they're
intimidating
better than them.
people.
They intimidate them. You know,
perhaps maybe that's why sometimes you'll hear stories in our communities that certain people, certain managers and employees, they don't employ people who are more educated than themselves because they themselves, they are insecure about who they are and what they bring to the table. So now they are afraid that if someone else has a degree or something that is a qualification that is much more than what I have, then I will lose maybe even the esteem that people had for me, and maybe I might even lose my job. And could that be, in fact, I believe that it is related also to the value that a person attaches to himself, and also the value that a person attaches to everything that he gains and attains. So if my value is in the fact that I have a degree, I have a PhD, and all of that, then someone who has something greater than what I have, of course, will intimidate me. I will not be comfortable around that person because I'm afraid that they're going to take my place. But if my value comes from me knowing who I am, knowing very well that I have my own purpose, and I am different and unique, and I have a purpose to serve, even someone who has a degree, a diploma, a PhD, a doctorate, will not really intimidate me, but instead might even inspire me to also fight to attain and to study and to know more. You know, we have institutions in our communities. We have institutions of politics and also churches, religious institutions that play a huge role in directing the affairs.
I love how you use the word directing the affairs. Both the institutions that you spoke of pertain to the governance of people. That's why they are really key institutions.
They're key institutions
in driving the direction of a community. You know, institutions such as
politics,
you mentioned, politics and also religious institutions. Politics have influence on the education system. So you'll find that So I agree with you. I share the same sentiment.
So a bit of a controversial what do they call it, opinion that I have when it comes to this is that both of these institutions along the way have both lost the importance, neglected rather, I think that's the better word to use, neglected the importance of true justice. And more especially, the one institution that I believe should really be at the forefront of upholding true justice as something that is really important. The church has neglected something that is able to really sustain everything that we fight for. Focusing more on social justice, on material things, is what pushes both these institutions and the church as well to a corner of attaining success that is not sustainable. Having churches full of people that are not regenerated, that are not transformed,
that's true,
that do not know their purpose,
that's true,
that are living lives as if they're just drifting. And they are not becoming useful even to the community. They are not transforming things. They are not serving.
So such that when a person would enter our church, they would say that there is no content that will stimulate them mentally and intellectually, you know, because when we start speaking of intellect and mental stimulation, that's where we take into account the practicality.
Exactly, bro.
So, bro, Yafana also with the political, you know, arena, the political institution that we have. It's becoming more rhetoric.
Exactly.
It's becoming practical.
Exactly.
So you'll find that they've both lost their essence.
Both lost, exactly.
Because,
and then we cannot help but to see the reason why our society is in shambles the way that it is, because the most fundamental aspects and pillars of society have break down.
They've broken down.
They've broken down because they've neglected the most important thing.
Bro, listen here. What happens when you uphold the law more than you uphold the practicality, the implementation? What happens when you uphold the policy more than you uphold the implementation? That leads to double standards. In the church, we have Christians who are upholding the law, what is right and what is not wrong, what is wrong, more than they are doing, actually serving the communities that they come from.
We've now become people who have neglected our purpose to focus on right and wrong, right and wrong.
Instead of us serving our purpose in our communities, just that people can see the light
through
that
us
we claim to have. In the political institutions, you'll find that there are policies government is meant to implement, but are upholding. For example, you look at the National Development Plan of 2010. So beautiful, so well articulated, stating where we want to go, the dream of South Africa. But you look at reality, and it's the opposite. So that is what we are finding. We are finding that in our institutions, there are double standards. And the only place where we can point, or the only people we can point at, are the leaders of those institutions, because they are the bearers of the visions of those institutions. They are the leaders that people are looking unto and having hope and trust and confidence of their future. Each and every day when people wake up, they are entrusting the leaders with the future, you know. And now it's so sad that the leaders are bargaining and are selling short, you know, the future for the present. It's like we've grown to become people who are more concerned about the now, and we don't think about the tomorrow. And the thing is that it really goes to that thing of
to that notion of we lack and we have neglected really true justice. So then that's why even you'll find that even in our own churches, where there's supposed to be love, where there's supposed to be vision, where there's supposed to be purpose, where there's supposed to be all these beautiful character traits and attributes, you'll find that they're not there, they don't exist. But we even where there's supposed to be a grooming of the intrinsic wealth, that is actually the grooming of Ukbawa no Khala. We are addressing more things that are materialistic rather than addressing things that are intrinsic, that are within. We'd rather deal more with the social condition of Aban, to tell them about their poverty and motivate them about their poverty. No, till things will be right. Or if we're not talking about things will be right, then we'll tell them, come and take these, we'll come and bring your ID and we'll anoint it so that you can get a job. We are more focused on the social ills rather than working and building up what is the character, the intrinsic world of a person, so that Lamtu can even now be able to know who he is, because knowing who you are, then you can know also your purpose. And in your purpose, you can never be broke, you can never lack peace, and you can never be a person who's just drifting.
You'll always be
the minute that you know your purpose, then you'll also know what you stand for and what you stand against.
Bro, on that notion, I agree with you 100% on that notion. And I just want to say, our leaders, they lack the courage, the boldness to stand out. They conform to the societal norms and customs. That is why the caliber of our leaders today is not a caliber of the leaders that were of the past and before. Leaders before were able to sacrifice now for the future. But leaders of now sacrifice the future for now. So you'll find that now we have a bunch of people who would rather get rich at the expense of other people, but proclaim to be the saviors of people.
We have people who are not afraid to make policies and actually act on them, make laws that they know that I don't care, because in the next 5 years I won't be here, I won't be in power to deal with the implications of what this law will bring.
They even have slogans of saying that 5 years is a long period of time for you to get there and loot from the municipalities, loot from the government, and then go and live off somewhere else. So my plea, bro, is to say, in the next 20 years, most of the leaders that are leading today will not be there. People who are making decisions for us are not going to be there in the next 20 years. So where are we as young people in the decision-making bodies?
So the question is, if we are going to be we are going to be in those positions of leading in the next 10, 15 years, 20 years to come,
what are we doing now?
What are we doing now, bro? Because
what
we are doing now is going to affect how we are going to lead in the future. It's in such a way
we
that
have something to lead.
That's something else. In such a way that if ever we don't become conscious of the fact that something needs to change, then what will happen is the same problems that we are complaining of with our leaders will also become proponents of the same problems once we become in positions of power and leadership.
I share the same view, and I really do share the same view, and that's why we need to emphasize, Tobani, what the true justice is so important. True justice speaks of restoration, bringing back to who you are meant to be. That way, things can be restored in society as well.
And perhaps maybe, I'm sorry, but maybe churches people from Christians are going to say that I'm attacking Christianity. But I have to say this. maybe this is the reason why our churches have become ineffective, because we are failing to answer the question of who am I? Pastors, bishops, major ones, they preach but still fail to articulate the question about who am I? What am I here to do? Which purpose am I here to fulfill? So because of failing to answer and articulate that question properly, then even in the place that was supposed to be the light and the source of solutions, we are being influenced by the system of that is currently running the world at large. And so now we are becoming people who draw their value from things rather than from what is within us. And so now that's why you'll even find that when we go outside and think that we're going to change things as believers, we are not able to change things, but instead kuvela through colors zethu zokuba nathi sinqanelwe izinto, our worth and our value sifumana kwizinto. Then that's why we will kuzawufumaniseka kuba even though sithetha nge-principles, nge-integrity, ngentontoni uba into ethile awuyenzi, but when we get to the world now, when we have to apply yonke le nto besikade siyishunyayezwa mhlawumbi nathi siyishumayelayo, we don't do it. We have these double standards. Sometimes sithi hayi besawuthini uthixo unceda abazincedayo because of those double standards. So then that same system of is the one that is breaking down and making even the church to become ineffective. Now if the church is becoming ineffective and it's breaking down, and also when it comes to politics, there is also a breakdown. Where are we going? More especially if we are not willing to sit down and ask ourselves and talk about these difficult questions of where do you take your value?
Because the thing is, bro, more than anything, what intrinsic wealth does is it enables us to create things that will last even though we are no longer here. So intrinsic value, it comes from your character. Bro. So whatever now you do out of that virtuous character or acts that will last way longer, than anything that is temporary. So perhaps what I'm trying to say is that we need to shift our focus and our perspective, from viewing our value from material things. We must stop seeking to obtain value, but rather look to be of value. How many of us are investing in our personal development as young people? Because that's what true justice speaks about. True justice is ima you sungama ngophuma ube hypocrite.
Start here.
Look at your heart. Your heart, you are a jealous person. You log on to Instagram, you see other people, posting
after what they have.
You lust after what they have. You covet over it. Now quickly, let's work on that. That's what the inner you tells you. Now if you neglect that and you chase after that office of leadership, you chase after that social justice, bro, then we will only be replicating what our leaders of today have done. Let us wake up as young people. I was watching a video earlier, and it was Vusi Tembekwaye. He was saying, let us stop being entitled. When you're entitled, you only want to receive, you only want to extract. That way, you no longer, care about how you can benefit or contribute to the lives of other people.
It's all about you.
It's all about you. It's all about you and you receiving, bro. I'm passionate about development, and it is proven by research, right? If you go into a community and the first thing you look at are the deficits of that community, your first solution will be to provide handouts, because you looked at that community from a deficit point of view.
From lack.
But if you do or you use what is called an asset-based approach, which is an approach that looks at the strengths, you will then seek to empower these people based on what they can do.
And perhaps, bro, this is going to come to what we see today. what we see today, even from big companies,
Yeah.
many big companies are failing
Yeah.
to empower.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who start foundations are failing to empower. They do so well when it comes to giving out handouts. And the thing is that you can give a person a fish, but if you don't teach that person how to fish, they will continually depend on you, and that's not a good position to be in. It's not a good position unless if you are this insecure person who wants to be seen as the boss in Kalakat, then for you it's nice. But for that, what about that person who will continually need you to be there around?
That's a perfect analogy, because now the value of a private company is determined by how the public perception is of that company. So if now the reason why there are corporate social committees in big corporates are so that they can look good in public. Now imagine if you as an individual are running your life like a private company, only doing good deeds so that people can see you, only standing for causes so that you
really
can
care about what you are doing, but you care about being seen doing it. So your focus is not on the person. So even when you're thinking about this solution that you want to bring, you are not thinking of, okay, so this person, I will give him bread today, but what about tomorrow?
Exactly.
How will even the
sustain?
mindset ingqondo yokuba no, let me help this person, maybe maybe I can't take this person to go to school and study, but let me give him information.
Exactly.
There are colleges, there are places like this where you can study for free. So then I'm empowering that person. As much as maybe I'm still going to give the bread, but I'm putting that person in a position whereby they can be able now to stand by themselves instead of depending on me.
The true reality, we always echoing, Tobani, you cannot liberate or emancipate another person if you are not free yourself. Perhaps, Tobani, we are trying to say, right, that we need to acknowledge that before we can ever be because the liberation we are looking for is external. We are all looking to be successful and prosperous externally. We want to drive the latest cars, we want to live in the greatest houses, finest houses, drink the finest champagne, etc., right? The best wines. But bro, no one is willing, right, to invest internally in their intrinsic wealth. No one is willing to seek for the mind, to seek to
build himself
up. No one is willing to account for the mind deficit that there is, because that's where it starts.
And maybe this is the reason why even after attaining all these things that we draw our value from, materialistic possessions, even after we get them, there's still that piece of us that's like, no man, there's still something lacking.
Exactly.
So we drag ourselves into all kinds of sometimes environments, substances, just to numb that feeling of being incomplete, that feeling of lacking fulfillment. So sometimes we numb those thoughts and that ever constant voice that is in your mind saying that you are not yet fulfilled. We numb it with alcohol, we numb it with drugs, we numb it sometimes with even the company of people that is always around us, because even that can be a way of numbing the voice that tells you you have not yet fulfilled your purpose. Sometimes we can even do this as even people who say, I am selling, but there is a way of that we are numbing down that voice that is constantly there within you, saying seek your true potential, because you are doing it, maybe even successfully in it, but it's not your true purpose, so that's why you're not finding fulfilled.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.